Hi all, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for allowing me the time to take you through the GVGC program and where we're up to from a launch point of view. I know that this initiative is something that you've requested for. I know from a marketing and category point of view that the work that you do in terms of product allocation and making sure that we've got the right products at the right time in our stores. You've been looking for operations to add some bolster around our sales performance, and this initiative goes a long way to be able to drive those products that you put into our stores and drive some fantastic sales results. So we've had some trials going in our stores, and I'm really pleased today to be able to give you a bit of an overview of where we're at. So throughout this presentation, please, if I know a few of you here on Skype today, so please, if you have any questions through the presentation, please type them through. I'm happy to address them at the end of the session. We've got a fairly limited time period here, as I know we're going back to back onto another presentation straight after mine. So we'll try and keep it fairly brief. Hopefully all of you would have received your pre-read before this meeting. I've sent that out via email, so I'll take that on trust that you've read that and have that had time to digest that as well. I know I've had a couple of questions earlier on in the week where we've had that as well. So what is good value, good call? I mean, that's probably the first thing to touch on, and essentially, you know, GVGC is about growing sales and profit. That's what we need to be doing, and it's really about when every single customer comes into our stores, it's making sure that we're actually maximising those sales opportunities to that customer when they come through. You know, the amount of transactions in our business is huge, and you know, just a slight shift upward in terms of, you know, basket size, in terms of dollar spend and so forth, items purchased, really give us an increase on that sales and also that GP line. So that's essentially what the program is designed to do. So, you know, our vision really is to set the industry benchmark for providing added value to the convenience customer. That's what we've set out to do, and that's what I believe that we have been able to capture and are building currently now. So some of the key objectives, just to take you through, and hopefully you've got those in front of you, you can see, and some of you can see referring to them now. So is obviously we want to equip the stores with the right tools. So, and that's a mix of training and also making sure that they have the information at hand in terms of performance to be able to make this a success. So the tools are really key. We obviously want to grow sales and profit. The program needs to be sustainable long term, and that's essential. We certainly don't want a flash in the pan initiative here. It's something that we need to make sure we sustain, and it's probably, because it's going to be a long term program, it's something that we're going to need to revisit, I think, and evolve as we go. We're well aware of that. You know, this really is changing the DNA culture of our service team at the front line, which is not easy to do based on the amount of stores that we've got across the country. And also, we want to create a healthy and competitive environment. You know, that's really, really important. We believe to be able to create the level of performance and interest, and that will be supported by some incentive around financial reward for performance, and also recognition as well, and just some friendly competition in terms of tails and ladders, making sure that information is available, you know, to our teams regularly. So where are we at in terms of the journey? You can refer there. I'm just referring to the second slide now. So the journey there, you can see today that we're actually in the middle of our national rollout at the moment. So we've been through our pilot stages. Which I'll share some of the high-level learnings from our pilot, which are really encouraging, I believe, when you have a look at that. And we've also been through our basic state conference, where we've actually gone through and actually talked to our core franchise store operations group to make sure that's been set up. So we're working towards a go-live date of something we say at this stage, maybe early Feb 2020. So some of the pilot results and overview. So you can see there in the data that I provided you that we've got the overall pilot uplift versus control. You can see the GP dollars generated per store per day has hit an average around about $85, which is more than what we modelled out, to be honest. It's actually been very successful. I think we need to be a little bit careful with this data that we have, because it's quite a small control group, and we have really probably picked out our better performers in that. But it does give us a really strong indication that there are definitely opportunities in lies, and I'm sure that we're going to have stores that perform a lot better than that, but I'm sure that we're going to have stores that perform a lot worse. So and then you've got the core that sits in the middle there as well. So how big is the opportunity? Well, that will play out, but there certainly is an opportunity. I think we've proven that. Also, you can see some increases there on units. You can see that quite clearly. And in terms of the sales number as well, so annual sales uplift for this group that we've put through in trials is over 100k. So you can see that it certainly is delivering on that top line sales, and definitely on the GP line as well. On the GP line, obviously that will get affected depending on different products that we've selected in the GP that they generate, so that will fluctuate slightly. One of the other measures that we wanted to make sure that we had under control was our Net Promoter Score. Now obviously that measures essentially whether customers would recommend us to their families and friends, and is a really good indicator to businesses, retail businesses across the world. So you can see there in terms of our results that we've had from our trial is that between those trial dates is we've had an 18-point lift. In terms of those GVGC stores. So that really gives us some confidence that not only are we increasing sales, but we're also in turn with that, we're actually increasing our customer satisfaction metric, which is really important. So, one thing that we probably, we definitely didn't want to do is become robotic in terms of our sales approach to customers. This is really about making a really good offer to the customer, something of value to them, and providing them with information, if you like. So we certainly didn't want to go down the robotic part of offering those particular items, and early indications on that Net Promoter Score is really good. Versus control, it is 6 points. So we're just making sure that we have a control group as well. So on both of those sides, we've seen an increase, which is positive. The next slide that you can see there is you can see the graphs that go up. So certainly, that really shows you the separation there, of the stores. So let's talk about the launch phase, about what we've done to date. So certainly we've done a rollout of the workshop to our broader multi-site management group. And that really essentially looked at a few of the key elements. We looked at the customer segments, which is something that the category and marketing have been instrumental in terms of developing, and thank you for doing that. That's been an important part of building this program, and we've built those segments into that. And understanding our customer segments is really important, and really important for our team members to do that. So knowing our promotional deals, certainly that's something that had been highlighted throughout our trial, is that our store team has really needed to understand the promotional deals, and we thought that there was certain opportunity to increase that. So we've touched on that a little bit more. Understanding the performance tracker, so we do have a performance tracker, making sure that individual team members can understand their performances as an individual versus what they're doing as a group as well. And that understanding individual team member performance I touched on just before is really important, because if you're going to sort of move the dial, what we found in this trial is you need to have a look at your sort of your last hanging fruit, if you like. And what we have found is that when we look across team members in a particular store, we'll find team members that have a really core bank of hours. Let's say 30 to 35 hours in a store, so that they're taking a core amount of the roster, and we look at their performance and we can see trends that some of them are clearly under where the average lies, and they're the ones that we found, and when we focus on some of those team members, the ones that have the core hours, the ones that are underperforming, that's when we start to get that real lift up there, rather than just looking at the rats and mice. They're the big ones that we found that actually makes a difference. Certainly, education around using the different reports and so forth that's available to them is key. Working with their manager, developing action plans, doing role plays, all those sort of things. It really is something. It's not something that you can drive and set in place over a couple of weeks and then wash your hands of it. It really is something that requires day-to-day invigoration, day-to-day energy to make sure that everyone's focused on the job each and every day, and each customer that walks in, making sure that time spent with that customer really is looking after them and really is providing them that extra value of service. So we're really then, of course, looking at our leadership, our coaching capabilities, our people management out there, and that's something that is an ongoing focus of ours as an operational business as well. In terms of the state conference, I mean, that's been rolled out now across all states, and this is really was our launching pad, if you like, going into the national rollout. And some of the key things there, we had Andrew Bailey, who was heading that up, which was absolutely fantastic, and that really helped us launch into each state. But essentially those pillars there, and you can see them in the slide deck that I distributed earlier, is obviously understanding the real results and what you can gain for no investment. And I guess that's the key, is that getting our franchisees to understand that we're not actually asking them to invest more into their business. We're actually getting them to invest into their people and getting a bit smarter about how they go about it and getting more value out of their teammates, getting them to perform at a higher rate and getting them to actually, rather than just transact, actually engage with customers and actually provide fantastic service and provide the extra promotional deal to the customer, which in turn is obviously, as you can see by the results, is increasing sales and increasing GP. So improving the productivity of existing team, as I touched on, that's really key. Increasing the spend of our existing customers, that's important. We want them to spend more, of course, but we also want them to make sure that they walk away from our stores with the feeling that they're getting value. It's not that I've just been tricked into buying something else. It's like, hey, that was great value. It's a great value deal. I bought a water. There's another one. I didn't realise that I could buy two for just an extra $1. I'm now walking out two. I feel like I've got a good deal. I've got one for later, and I'm feeling really satisfied. I'm going to return. So that's really important. I think that's helping us drive our NPS results as well. So improving the customer and team member relationships experience. Again, I think that it's a part and parcel of that leadership that's required by managers to make sure that every day when team members are coming to work, that they're energized, they're focused, they understand their requirements, and they're working as a team to make sure they're getting these goals. Some of probably the key things that we work through, and I'm not going to go through all of them there, but you can see some of the key themes that we touched on throughout the state conference there. But one of the ones was the stigma around upselling, and we don't like to call it upselling. It's about adding extra value to customers, providing a service. But we talked about